It's a Tuesday morning in a cramped, beige-walled office, and the air is thick with the scent of stale coffee and silent resentment. At her desk, a 28-year-old woman, let's call her Alex, clicks through another solitaire game, her face a mask of neutral emptiness. Across the hall, her boss Mark, a man in his 40s with a habit of leaning too close, watches her from his doorway. He's just realized something is terribly wrong. For months, Alex was the eager pleaser, the one who'd jump at his commands. But now? She hasn't smiled in weeks. She answers in monosyllables, and the panic in Mark's eyes is starting to show. October, the breaking point. Alex has been applying to new jobs since October, a silent rebellion sparked by one too many humiliations. Mark isn't just a bad boss, he's a narcissistic vortex. She's heard him promise promotions to colleagues only to mock them as stupid or pathetic behind their backs. A few weeks ago, he gathered the entire team in his office to dissect her performance. Alex is lazy, doesn't know what she's doing, he declared. The irony? No one trained her. Her role in contracting and construction is specialized, and Mark himself is clueless about it. The department relies on her, but they're happy to gossip. Let's rewind the tape. Mark's toxicity isn't subtle. He once yelled at Alex in front of everyone because she didn't alert him when he was already CC'd on an email. Her annual review was brutal, not based on work, but because she didn't share enough about her personal life. He generously approved a $200 holiday bonus, then complained his was only $10,000. And the physical boundaries? He hugged her despite her protests, told her to smile more, and once asked if anyone had ever given her a hickey. HR was notified. Nothing changed. The office culture is a snake pit. One coworker, who Alex thought was a confidant, would bond over hating Mark, only to sprint to his office and tattle the moment she agreed. This spy reports everything, even a private phone call where Alex wished the gossip would stop. The betrayal is constant, a low-grade fever of paranoia. For most of the year, Alex tried to stay positive. But by November, something snapped. The doormat was getting up. January. The gray rock method begins. Gray rocking is a psychological tactic used to deal with narcissists. You become uninteresting, like a gray rock. No emotions, no engagement. Alex stops smiling, even when ordered. She answers questions with yes, no, or nothing. Mark keeps probing, what's wrong, but gets nowhere. The department gossip shifts tone. They're not just mocking her now, they're whispering in panic. Is she leaving? Who will do her job? They've said she does nothing, but suddenly her presence is critical. Mark's behavior turns bizarre. He loudly compliments Alex from his office, calling her super smart for tasks he never noticed before. He runs in to say he handled part of her job to help, though he never asked if she needed it. He comments on her hair. He sits in her office and declares she's not allowed to leave. A source in another department confirms what Alex suspected. Mark is terrified. The power dynamic is flipping. Alex holds the cards, and she hasn't even played them yet. Why is he so desperate? If he thinks she's incompetent, why beg her to stay? Alex realizes it's about control. Mark gets off on ordering people around, on having a lapdog who runs when he shouts. Her gray rocking isn't just indifference, it's a silent revolt that undermines his authority. The narcissist's fuel, attention and reaction, is drying up, and without it, he's unraveling. A telling moment arrives. The receptionist posts a monthly birthday list and gets Alex's date wrong. Alex doesn't care, but Mark makes a huge deal, forcing an apology and marking the correct date on his personal calendar. He acts excited, but Alex just stares blankly. It's a love-bombing attempt, a classic manipulative tactic to reel her back in, but the gray rock doesn't respond. The final week setting the trap. Last week, Alex heard back from a job interview. No offer yet, but a promise of an answer by Monday. Knowing the end is near, she packs her personal items and deletes her browsing history while Mark is out in the field. She arranges folders to hide the emptiness, playing solitaire until he returns. He notices nothing. But the next day, she calls in sick. Mark checks her office, sees her stuff is gone, and flies into a panic. He assumes she's ghosting him. Alex arrives on Monday to a boss on edge. Mark immediately corners her. I know you're unhappy, he says. What's wrong? Alex sticks to nothing. He offers concessions, a later start time, a raise. She declines. He admits he knows she's leaving and begs her to stay until he finds a replacement. But Alex has hit her limit. I'll stay until the end of today, she blurts out. Shock washes over his face. He asks for a list of her duties. She agrees, but has no intention of doing it. Then, the kicker. What did I do wrong? He pleads. Alex's reply is icy. I don't think anything's ever going to change here. She denies him the closure of a confession, knowing he'd just deny it anyway, shielded by his yes men. The HR gambit. With Mark temporarily out of the office, Alex doesn't just pack. She makes a strategic move. She walks to HR and tells the representative, calmly and clearly, that her boss is the sole reason she is leaving. To her surprise, the HR rep, perhaps newly empowered by a recent director hire, takes it seriously and asks her to elaborate. This is the moment Alex has been waiting for, a chance to leave a permanent mark on his record. She lays out the entire case, the disrespect, the public shaming, the gossip sessions he leads, and the oppressive feeling of being spied on by the office snitch. She mentions the inappropriate, personal comments and the hugs she refused. She does not have another job lined up, she admits, making it clear that his behavior is so intolerable she would rather face unemployment. The HR rep notes everything and reveals she will be discussing this with the CEO later in the week. Whether it happens or not, the complaint is now officially lodged. The seed of accountability has been planted. The domino effect. Word of her imminent departure spreads through the office like a current. The gossip network that once worked against her now serves her purpose. A woman from a different department, let's call her Sarah, approaches Alex. She asks the simple, direct question, is it because of Mark? When Alex confirms it, Sarah shares her own story. She used to work directly for him. One day, before leaving for a conference, she made a brief call to her husband from her office phone. Mark, somehow aware of a call from an unrecognized number, freaked out. At 4 a.m, he ordered one of his superintendents to go to the office, break into her workspace, and check her call history. The superintendent, likely exhausted after a night of paving work, accidentally hit call on the husband's number. The husband, receiving a call from his wife's office in the dead of night, feared the worst and frantically called her cell phone until she woke up. An investigation involving IT and security camera footage confirmed the superintendent's story, but Mark flatly denied any involvement. This wasn't just toxicity, it was unhinged, paranoid behavior. Alex's decision is validated in the most dramatic way possible. She isn't just leaving a bad boss, she's escaping a predator. The anatomy of gray rocking. Let's pause here and analyze the weapon Alex used, the gray rock method. In the context of dealing with a narcissist, it's not merely being quiet. It is a deliberate, disciplined strategy of becoming uninteresting and unresponsive to manipulative behaviors. You offer no emotional feedback, no anger, no fear, no satisfaction. You become a boring gray rock. For Mark, a narcissist, Alex's emotional reactions were his fuel. Her past efforts to please him, her visible upset at his criticism, these were all sources of supply. By cutting off that supply, she starves him. His escalating panic, his love bombing with compliments, his desperate offers, these are the actions of a narcissist in withdrawal. He isn't trying to make her happy. He's trying to restore his own sense of control and importance. Her silence is a mirror forcing him to see his own irrelevance, and he is terrified by the reflection. The coworker snitch, a calculated endgame. As the day wears on, Alex considers the final piece of the puzzle. The coworker who betrayed her. The one who pretended to be a friend only to report her every sigh to Mark. Revenge isn't just about leaving, it's about ensuring the aftermath is as painful for her tormentors as possible. She picks up her phone and stages a conversation, her voice laden with fabricated defeat. Yeah, I didn't get it, she says, just loud enough to be overheard. The offer fell through. I'm stuck here. I guess I have no choice but to stay. I hate it so much. I hate the spying. I hate the gossip. I hate that I have to work for that man every day. She can almost feel the snitch's ears burning. Within minutes, he scurries toward Mark's empty office, likely to leave a voicemail or send a text. The trap is set. The final meeting. Mark returns from the field, his panic now barely contained. He's heard the news from the snitch. Alex is staying. He summons her to his office for what he assumes will be a victory lap. He sits back, a smug look returning to his face. Alex, he begins, I heard the news that you'll be staying with us. I think that's a wise decision. We can work on these issues together. This is the moment. The moment the gray rock becomes a wrecking ball. Alex looks him directly in the eye, her expression still neutral. I'm not staying, she says, her voice flat. Today is my last day. I have another job lined up. I was just waiting for the formal offer, which I received an hour ago. The smugness evaporates, replaced by pure, unadulterated shock. The whiplash is intentional. He was just told she was defeated, and now she stands there, victorious. He sputters. But I was told. You were told what you wanted to hear by someone who tells you what you want to hear, she interrupts. Now you know what it feels like. The masterstroke. As Mark struggles to form a sentence, Alex delivers the final devastating blow. She leans forward slightly. You should know, she says, that Dave has been telling me for months how much he wants my job. He's been complaining that he's overqualified for his current role and that he could do my work in his sleep. I guess he saw his chance. She lets the implication hang in the air. She has just turned his most loyal spy into a perceived schemer, a puppet master playing his own game. When Alex walks out, Mark will not only be down a critical employee, but he will also turn his paranoia and rage onto the snitch. The toxic ecosystem will begin to consume itself. The silence in Mark's office is absolute, broken only by the hum of the cheap fluorescent lights. Alex's words hang in the air, a poison cloud of implication. Mark's face cycles through emotions, confusion, disbelief, and finally a dawning, corrosive rage. It's not directed at Alex, not yet. She has become an unassailable fortress. His fury is for the snitch, the man he thought was his loyal hound, who he now believes was secretly scheming to usurp his department. Alex watches the calculus happen behind his eyes. She has handed him a narrative that perfectly fits his paranoid worldview, and he is greedily swallowing it. Without another word, she turns and walks out of his office, leaving him to stew. Her work here is done. The last laugh. Back at her desk, Alex doesn't pack. She has already done that. Instead, she opens a blank document. The list of duties Mark begged for, it remains unwritten. Instead, she drafts a single, concise email to the entire department, carbon copying HR and the new CEO. Subject: knowledge transfer and departure. Team, today is my last day at the company. For a smooth transition, please note the following. All critical project files are located on the shared Z drive in the active projects folder. Passwords for the contractor portal and billing software have been left with HR. I have documented my core processes. This document is available from HR upon request. I wish you all the best. Alex, it's professional, courteous, and utterly devastating. By centralizing the knowledge with HR, she bypasses Mark entirely. He cannot hoard the information or control the narrative of the handover. He is cut out of the loop in his own department. She hits send. The email acts like a shockwave. Colleagues who had been whispering now cluster in the hallway, their voices a mixture of anxiety and morbid excitement. The office snitch, who moments ago was smug in his perceived intelligence coup, now looks visibly nervous. He can feel Mark's glare through the glass wall of his office. Alex receives a direct message from the coworker she somewhat trusts. He just called Dave into his office and closed the door. You can hear him yelling. The predator, deprived of its primary prey, has turned on its own. The ecosystem of toxicity is now in a self-destructive feedback loop. The exit interview. The HR rep asks for a formal exit interview. Alex agrees. This time she's even more detailed. She provides dates, times, and direct quotes from Mark's gossip sessions. She mentions the 4 a.m. break-in story from Sarah, corroborating a pattern of unstable behavior. She hands over a printed log of the inappropriate comments, the hickey question, the demands to smile, the unwanted hugs. She frames it not as a personal grievance, but as a massive liability for the company. She is calm, factual, and formidable. The HR rep takes meticulous notes. The meeting with the CEO now seems inevitable. Mark emerges from his office, looking pale. He tries one last pathetic gambit. He gathers the team for an impromptu meeting, deliberately excluding Alex. Through the glass, they see him forcing a smile, giving a pep talk. We're a family here. We'll get through this. We have to pull together. But the faces of the team are skeptical, nervous. They've seen the panic. They've heard the rumors about the HR complaint. The family rhetoric now rings hollow. The very culture of gossip he fostered is now working against him, spreading the truth of his desperation faster than any corporate memo could. The last walk. The clock hits 5 p.m. Alex stands, picks up her single box of personal items, a plant, a photo, a mug. It's light. She has left no trace of herself behind. She doesn't look toward Mark's office. She walks out, past the cubicles of her former colleagues. Some avoid her eyes. One gives her a subtle, secret thumbs up. The receptionist, the one who was forced to apologize about the birthday, offers a genuine, sympathetic smile. There is no grand confrontation, no final word. Her revenge was not a single explosion, but a series of precision strikes that left the structure of Mark's authority crumbling from within. As the elevator doors close, the only sound is the ringing of her personal cell phone, the new employer calling to formally welcome her aboard. Day 8, the aftermath. It's 1 week later, the morning sun streams into the office, but it does nothing to lift the pall that has settled over the department. Alex's old desk remains empty, a stark monument. The first major crisis has already hit. A critical project submission for a multi-million-dollar paving contract is missing a key certification, a document only Alex knew how to generate from the contractor portal. Mark is frantically calling the software company, but without the specific administrative permissions and knowledge Alex possessed, he's stuck on hold for hours. The panic is no longer a quiet whisper. It's a deafening roar. The nothing job they claimed she did is now revealing itself to be the linchpin holding the entire operation together. Mark is called into a meeting with the CEO and the new HR director. The atmosphere is frosty. The CEO has read the exit interview report and the formal complaint from HR. He begins not with questions about the missing work, but about the 4 a.m. break-in story. Mark, I need you to walk me through the incident involving Sarah from the transportation department. The security cameras and the IT log are quite clear. Mark's denials now sound weak and rehearsed against the cold, hard data. The CEO's face is stony. This is no longer about one employee leaving. It's about a manager who is a walking liability. Meanwhile, the office spy Dave is experiencing his own nightmare. With Alex gone, Mark's paranoia has a new, concentrated target. He publicly berates Dave for a minor error in a report, accusing him of sabotaging the team. The friendly, conspiratorial tone is gone, replaced by open hostility. Dave tries his old trick, attempting to bond with another coworker by complaining about Mark. But the trust is broken. The coworker just shrugs and walks away, having seen what happens to those who get too close to Dave. He is now completely isolated, branded as both a snitch and, thanks to Alex's final masterstroke, a suspected usurper. His social capital in the office is zero. The ripple effect. Over the next few days, a fascinating thing happens. Emboldened by Alex's exit and the visible investigation into Mark, other employees begin to speak up. Sarah formally submits her old statement to HR. Another employee from a different division schedules a meeting with the HR director to recount a time Mark took credit for their work and then belittled them in a team meeting. The gray rock that Alex dropped into the stagnant pond of the company has created ripples that are now turning into waves. It turns out she wasn't the only one. She was just the one with the courage and strategy to leave and trigger the avalanche. In a desperate attempt to stabilize the department, management brings in a temporary contractor to handle Alex's old duties. The contractor, a seasoned professional in her 50s, sees the dysfunction within hours. On her second day, she has a run-in with Mark, who attempts to yell at her for not copying him on an email. She calmly informs him that, as a contractor, she reports to the VP of Operations, not to him. She then adds, and for future reference, that's not how we communicate in a professional environment. Mark is rendered speechless. His power, which was entirely based on dominating permanent, vulnerable employees, is useless. The contractor does her job efficiently and without drama, a living reminder of the competence Mark drove away. The true cost. Let's analyze the fallout. Alex's revenge was not bloodless, but it was meticulously targeted. The company is facing financial cost, the lost contract due to the missed submission, the fee for the temporary contractor, and the potential for legal fees if other complaints escalate. There's cultural cost. The department is now openly divided and demoralized, with productivity plummeting. And there's reputational cost. For Mark, this is fatal. His reputation within the company is shattered. He is now seen by upper management as a manager who cannot retain talent, who creates liability, and whose department is in disarray. He is being managed out. Alex, in her new role, receives a LinkedIn message from her former, kind of trustworthy coworker. The message is brief but glorious. "You broke him. HR is involved full-time. The contractor told Mark off. It's beautiful." Alex doesn't reply. She doesn't need to. The confirmation is enough. She has the ultimate satisfaction, not just of winning, but of knowing that the toxic environment she left behind is now consuming itself, and the architect of that environment is at the center of the fire. Day 30. The dominoes fall. A month after Alex's departure, the CEO makes his move. The internal investigation, fueled by multiple employee testimonies and the glaring operational failure in Alex's former department, is complete. Mark is called into a meeting with the CEO, the HR director, and a senior legal counsel. He is presented with a choice: resign immediately with a modest severance package, or be terminated for cause, with the company prepared to present its evidence of creating a hostile work environment and engaging in reckless managerial practices. There is no debate, no room for his manipulations. The yes men are not in the room. For the first time, he is utterly powerless. He signs the separation agreement. He is escorted from the building by security, his personal items in a cardboard box. The lapdog has been put down. With Mark gone, the department undergoes a restructuring. The temporary contractor is hired full-time as the new manager, brought in specifically to clean house. Her first decision is to not retain Dave, the office snitch. His role, she explains in his termination meeting, has become redundant. His constant attempts to ingratiate himself and report on colleagues are identified as a corrosive influence on team cohesion. He is let go without a recommendation. The very behavior Mark rewarded is now the reason for his unemployment. Epilogue. 6 months later. Alex has been thriving in her new role for half a year. The work environment is collaborative, her boss is respectful, and she has already received a promotion. One evening, out of sheer curiosity, she looks up her old company on LinkedIn. She sees that the department has been merged with another. Several of her former coworkers have left for better jobs. The CEO posted a corporate blog about the importance of ethical leadership and psychological safety. The entire incident has been sanitized into a learning experience for the company. But the changes are real. The toxic cell has been cut out. Alex closes her laptop and smiles. A real smile, not the forced one Mark used to demand. She didn't just escape a nightmare. She dismantled it, brick by brick, with patience, strategy, and the quiet power of becoming a gray rock. And in the end, she didn't just win. She made sure everyone who enabled the toxicity paid the price. That's not just revenge. That's justice.